How often do we make decisions without thinking about the consequences at all? Unfortunately, this is something that we all know and do. People tend to do things first and then think. We live here and now without thinking about tomorrow at all. Sometimes we make decisions that seem to be the most correct at the current moment just to realize that it was the biggest mistake in life. Diana is a girl who did not know what to do while facing her problems all alone. She made a mistake, and she had to regret it later. Life is cruel, so it decided not to protect this girl and gave her a very unusual present. Instead of forgiveness, she had to face nothing but justice. Watch this video and share your opinion in the comments below. Was it something you would call a fair end? Don't forget to subscribe and like our video. Enjoy watching! Diana was a young girl who loved her life and wanted to have fun and cool times. However, one day, after another stormy party, she felt something unusual inside. This strange feeling did not leave her, and soon she had a periods delay while vomiting all the time. Diana decided to take a pregnancy test which, to her great regret, turned out to be positive. When the girl finally decided to go to the gynecologist and perform an abortion, it was already too late. The deadline has already been passed. During the whole period of gestation, Diana had a difficult dilemma in her head. She could not decide what to do: leave the child and raise him or immediately abandon him in the hospital. So it was the most important day. Contractions, ambulance, maternity hospital, and the birth. Diana met her boy. He was healthy and screaming all the time. A few hours later, when the girl regained consciousness, the nurses brought her baby to the ward for feeding. She looked at the defenseless baby and cried. At that moment, she finally realized that she would not be able to educate him, not to mention give him what he deserved. She had nothing: no job, no home, and no stable relationship. Everything was so complicated and confusing in her life. This was exactly the moment when Diana made her most terrible and erroneous decision. A few days after giving birth, Diana was discharged from the hospital. She took her baby, wrapped him in a blanket, and walked along a country road where she often saw a lonely grandmother who lived nearby. Diana decided that this elderly woman could give her son much more than she could. The girl left the newborn boy under a tree near the house of this old woman while putting a note with a Philip inscription on it. That old lady's name was Ophelia. Every morning she would go out to water her small vegetable garden. On that day, she saw a little baby crying and lying completely helpless right in front of her house. Without hesitation, Ophelia smiled and said, looking at the baby, "Son, now we will live together." After returning home, Diana felt a terrible pain that burned her from the inside. To get rid of that merciless feeling, as well as to mute her conscience, the girl went out. She began to kill her inner voice with alcohol, noisy parties, and terrible friends. Diana had fun day after day without waking up and eventually forgot about her terrible actions. She began to live the way she wanted. Meanwhile, the years passed and Philip grew up and went to the first grade. Ophelia took good care of him. She taught him and made sure he grew up a smart boy. She brought him up and taught him to work. He turned out to be a good housekeeper. The woman was able to develop and cultivate good qualities in him. Philip became kind and caring. He learned to love and took care of all living things. Over the years, they have become a real strong family. One Saturday afternoon, Ophelia sent Philip to pick a bouquet of flowers in a clearing near their house. She wanted to admire beautiful field daisies during lunch. After arriving at the clearing, Philip, picking flowers, noticed a crying woman. He came up to her and asked her if anything had happened to her. He was so shocked because the woman abruptly hugged him so tightly, as if he meant a lot to her. Philip was a good guy, so he invited her to dinner. When Ophelia saw a stranger in her house, she immediately understood everything. She looked at her and at Philip. There were many similar things among them. Being unable to say a word, she just sat down and silently looked at these two. The silence was broken by Diana's scream. She began to shout and prove that it was her son. She wanted to take him away because she understood everything. She cried and said that she regretted her action and that she wanted to fix everything. Diana took the boy by the hand and wanted to leave, but Philip returned to hug Ophelia. The boy cried and hugged his grandmother tightly. He then got up, took her hand, and confidently, somehow in an adult way, said, "Ophelia is my mother. She raised me. We love each other. I will never leave her the way you left me. Go away." Philip took the flowers and gave them to Diana. Then he went to the door and opened it and repeated, "Go away." These words broke Diana's heart. She regretted what she had done every day. She tried to kill her grief with alcohol, noisy parties, new acquaintances, but nothing helped because she simply threw the most expensive gift of fate under a tree at the house of a complete stranger. Even though she has a good job and stability today, the emptiness inside poisons the seemingly successful life of this girl. Diana left and never appeared in the life of Ophelia and Philip, who became a wonderful person. The pain and bitterness ate poor Diana from the inside. The inability to fix her past just killed her life. Every decision we make has its consequences. I want you to choose only important and eternal things without wasting your time on something useless. As they say, curses, like chickens, come home to roost.